She just needed $40 to buy antibiotics for her dying cat. One small task: pretend to be a customer, walk into a store, ask a few questions, then leave. Easy, right? But that night, the man watching her from the end of the aisle wasn't an employee. He was a shadow waiting for a trigger. You're watching echoes of crime where every story whispers the truth beneath the surface. My name's Lee. I was 27. Laid off, broke, alone in a city that didn't care whether I existed or not. Rent overdue, fridge empty. My cat Luna wheezing on the blanket beside me. I didn't know what else to do. I sat at my cracked kitchen table, surrounded by the silence of too many failures. The only light in the room came from my laptop, its glow casting shadows under my tired eyes. Out of desperation, I typed, "Make money online fast." No upfront. I didn't expect anything to come of it, but something did. A listing appeared: mystery shopper, $40 per task, flexible hours, immediate payout. It felt sketchy, too perfect. But when you're cornered, even a scam starts to feel like hope. The reply came quickly. A woman named Denise Weston, writing from a Gmail account that looked professional enough. Her tone was polite, her grammar impeccable. She sent me a PDF with a list of instructions. My job: evaluate a grocery store employee, be discreet, act normal, submit a form, get paid, no red flags, but maybe I was just too numb to see them. I used a burner email, didn't give my real name. I thought I was being careful, and then I hit send. It was supposed to be just another gig. It was anything but. The next evening, I pulled into the parking lot of Mayfair Market. A tired grocery store tucked into a forgettable corner of the suburbs, strip mall, flickering neon sign, cracked asphalt under my boots. The sky above was thick with low-hanging clouds, not stormy, just heavy. The kind of sky that presses down on your shoulders without saying why. I wore my black hoodie, the same one I'd slept in the night before. My hands were cold, buried deep in the pocket. I took a breath, shaky, shallow, then stepped out. The automatic doors hissed open. The smell hit first: floor cleaner and slightly rotten bananas. Bright fluorescent lights buzzed overhead. Somewhere near the front, an old pop song played too cheerfully over the intercom. It felt like walking into a memory that had gone stale. I wandered the aisles slowly, pretending to browse just like the instructions said. Don't look suspicious. Blend in, act like you belong. Aisle 4, it was quiet, too quiet. There he was, alone, mid-20s maybe, gaunt, light brown hair hanging limp above hollow cheeks. He didn't look up, just kept stacking cans like the motion was the only thing keeping him upright. His vest read, "Miles." I hesitated, then walked up slowly. "Hey," I said, keeping my tone soft. "Sorry to bother you. Could you help me find the canned tuna?" He didn't look at me, didn't smile, didn't even blink. Middle of the aisle. "Left side," he said flatly, still facing the shelf. No eye contact, no follow-up, just a flick of his hand. I stood there for a second, hoping maybe he'd correct himself or at least say goodbye. Nothing. "Okay, thanks," I said quietly. I took a step back. Just before turning the corner, I looked over my shoulder. He was staring, not at the shelf, not past me, at me, and I didn't realize it yet, but he wouldn't stop. I moved on to the next aisle, trying to shake off the chill that had settled under my skin. Maybe I was overthinking it. Maybe he was just weird, but there's a difference between weird and watching. As I walked past the cereal boxes, I caught him again, at the end of the aisle. This time he wasn't even pretending to stalk. He just stood there, still, eyes fixed. I turned quickly and headed toward the dairy section, my fingers brushing against the cold metal of the refrigerator doors like they could ground me in reality. I focused on breathing, counted quietly. 1, 2, 3, don't panic, but then there he was again, just on the edge of vision, standing near the yogurts, no cart, no purpose, just watching. The air in the store felt different now. Not sterile, but thick, heavy, like I was walking through syrup. The same old pop song was still playing, but it sounded distant, warped. I reached the checkout. The cashier, Amber, her tag said, was bright, bubbly, everything you'd want in a retail interaction. She smiled, scanned the bottle of water I didn't need, and said, "Enjoy your night." I wanted to say not likely, but I just smiled stiffly. Back in the car, under the yellow dome light, I opened the PDF form and started typing. Routine notes: employee failed to greet, minimal eye contact, no engagement. I didn't write. He stared at me like I had stepped into a dream he wasn't finished having. I didn't write. I think he followed me. But maybe I should have. I stayed in my car longer than I should have. Engine off, dome light still glowing above me. My fingers hovered over the keyboard on my phone, but I couldn't make them move. I kept thinking about his eyes. They weren't angry, they weren't sad, they were empty, like someone had wiped him clean from the inside. Across the parking lot I saw movement, a figure. It was him, Miles. He walked with slow, steady steps. Not toward me, but not away either, just across. Like he wanted me to know he was still there. He didn't look at my car directly, but I swear he knew exactly where I was. I shrank lower in my seat, heart pounding in my throat. He passed by 3 spaces over, slid into an old black sedan with a missing hubcap, and drove off without turning on his headlights. Tires chirped on the asphalt as he pulled away. I didn't breathe until the tail lights disappeared. That night I slept with my hoodie on, curled up on the couch, phone in hand, door triple locked. Luna curled into my stomach, purring hoarsely. I kept telling myself it was nothing. A coincidence, a bad interaction, nothing more, but still, I checked the peephole 5 times. The next morning my phone buzzed, $40 PayPal received. And just below it, a new email from Denise. Subject: new mystery shopping opportunity, immediate payment. Body: hi Lee, we loved your last report. You're approved for your next task. Click here for details. I stared at it for a long time, and then I hit delete. But the feeling didn't delete with it. I didn't tell Jesse right away. He was the kind of boyfriend who kept his sneakers lined up by color and folded every hoodie with surgical precision. A worrier. Kind, solid, but the kind of man who looked for rational explanations. And I didn't have one. What was I supposed to say? Hey, I might have accidentally psychologically broken a guy in a grocery store and now he's maybe stalking me. So I let it go, or tried to. 3 days later, I was at Jesse's duplex. We were sprawled on his second-hand couch, eating sweet and sour chicken out of the box, laughing at Old Who's Line reruns. His dog, Mako, snored between us, his feet twitching as he dreamed of squirrels or glory. It felt good, normal, until it didn't. It was 11:43 p.m. The TV had just cut to commercial when... bang, a slam. Not a knock, we both froze. Mako was instantly on alert, ears perked, growling low in his throat. Jesse muted the TV. Another bang, then another, fists heavy, furious. What the hell? Jesse whispered, standing slowly. I followed him to the window, heart already racing. He peeked through the blinds and his shoulders tensed. Lay. His voice was hollow. I stepped closer, looked, and there he was, Miles, same hoodie, same face. Only this time there was something feral in his expression. Wild-eyed, his mouth moved, muttering to himself. His fists pounded the door again and again, like he wanted to splinter it open with sheer will. Jesse cracked the storm window open, voice firm. You need to leave, now. Miles didn't budge. I know what you did, he shouted. You think you can ruin my life and hide behind a screen. My blood ran cold, he knew. Somehow he knew. You ruined everything, he roared, slamming his fists harder. I was holding it together, I was doing okay, and then you show up, asking for ******ing tuna like you're better than me. Jesse instinctively stepped in front of me. Lee, go get my phone. I didn't argue. My hands were already shaking as I grabbed it from the coffee table and fumbled to dial 911. My fingers felt numb, disconnected. Meanwhile, Miles kept ranting, his voice rising and cracking like glass under pressure. You don't get to walk away. You think you're safe in here. You're not safe anywhere. He suddenly slammed his body into the door. The whole frame shuddered. Mako barked wildly, tail down, teeth bared. The storm door flexed but held. The dispatcher's voice came through the line like a rope. "Ma'am, stay on the line. Officers are on their way. Do not engage." I backed into the kitchen, heart slamming like it was trying to break free from my chest. Miles kept screaming, "You think you're untouchable because you filled out a form, because you got me fired. They always listen to people like you, right? Clean shoes, fake smile, corporate soldier." Another bang, this time with his shoulder. The wood cracked, and then sirens, red and blue lights, bounced across the living room walls like a heartbeat. Tires screeched outside. Jesse let out a breath he didn't know he was holding. We both turned to the window. Two officers ran toward the porch. Miles saw them. For a second I thought he'd fight, but then he bolted down the steps. Across the lawn, he almost made it to the neighbor's fence before one of the officers tackled him hard into the grass. They cuffed him, read his rights, and then one of them reached into his waistband and pulled out a folding knife. That's when my legs gave out. They let me watch from the porch. Miles lay face down in the grass, cheek pressed into the mud, eyes darting, not angry now, just vacant. The knife, it hadn't been open, but it could have been. 1 second later, one push farther, the officer asked if I wanted to press charges. I nodded before he even finished the question. Back inside, I collapsed onto Jesse's couch. My knees were jelly, my thoughts static. Mako curled beside me, trembling. Jesse brought me a blanket and held my hand without saying a word. It should have been over. But trauma doesn't work like that. Even after the trial, even after the restraining order and the court-mandated psychiatric evaluation, I still flinched every time someone knocked on my door. I started checking every grocery aisle twice. I changed my number, quit mystery shopping. Hell, I even changed neighborhoods, but you can't change what you remember. Sometimes, late at night, I'd catch myself staring at Luna sleeping in the window and wonder how close I came. If Miles had waited until I was alone, if I'd accepted a second job, if Jesse hadn't been home that night. There were too many ifs. That's what trauma does. It traps you in the spaces between what happened and what could have. Eventually, I decided to see a therapist. Her name was Dr. Ada Renner. First session, I said nothing for 20 minutes. Just cried ugly, ragged sobs that I didn't even know I'd been storing. She listened. Then she said something I never forgot. "You didn't deserve what happened, but now you get to decide what happens next." I clung to that like a life raft. Because this isn't a story about being followed. It's a story about surviving the kind of fear that rewires your bones and choosing every single day not to let it win. A few months passed. I was back at work, not mystery shopping, nothing shady. I found a remote job doing content editing for a nonprofit. It was quiet, steady, and best of all, anonymous. No strangers, no reviews, no fake names. Luna got better too. The antibiotics worked, and she was her grumpy, demanding self again, curling up on my keyboard like she owned the apartment. I started drinking tea instead of coffee, sleeping through the night mostly. But healing isn't linear. One night I got an envelope in the mail, no return address. Inside was a single sheet of paper, typed, clean, no name, just words. "I'm still watching. You ruined me. I'll see you again." I felt the blood drain from my face. Jesse called the police immediately. They dusted the envelope. No prints, no DNA. It had been dropped directly into the mail slot. No postage. The officer was kind but practical. If he obeyed the restraining order, he's not technically breaking any laws by sending a letter. Not yet. Not yet, 2 words that burned themselves into the back of my mind. I moved again. New building, new locks. Security cameras this time. Jesse helped me install them himself. Every beep, every flicker of the screen became part of my daily ritual. Wake up, check the feed, take a deep breath, begin the day. People think trauma is loud. But sometimes it's the silence that kills you. The waiting, the watching, the feeling of not knowing if you're still being hunted or just haunted. and I wasn't sure which one scared me more. The paranoia didn't leave, it just evolved. I stopped going to familiar places, stopped taking the same route home. Jesse bought me a taser I never let go of, even inside my apartment. The smallest noise, a door creak, a car backfiring, made my skin tighten. I started therapy twice a week. I journaled, meditated, took long walks in crowded areas, tried every healing cliché I could find online. Some helped, some didn't, but one thing that kept circling back was this question: why me? Not in the self-pitying way, in the honest, terrified way. Why had he chosen me out of thousands of shoppers? Why had that moment in aisle 4 unraveled something inside him? Then came the night I found out. It was a cold Thursday in December. Jesse had just fallen asleep on my couch, and I was organizing old emails to finally delete the burner account I used for mystery shopping. I hovered over the inbox and noticed something strange. There was an old email I'd never opened. It had no subject line. I clicked it. The message was short. "Hi Lay, I knew you'd pick my store. I read your post on Craigslist last week. You seemed nice, real, can't wait to meet you." My breath caught. The timestamp was 2 days before I went to Mayfair Market. He hadn't just found me after I got there. He had been waiting for me. This wasn't a random gig. It wasn't chance. It was planned. I wasn't the mystery shopper. I was the target. The realization shattered something in me. This hadn't been paranoia. It had been precision. Miles had chosen me before I ever walked through those automatic doors, before I'd ever hit send on that Craigslist reply. The profile, the task, the job. All of it bait. I reread the email again and again, my fingers trembling over the keys. The wording was careful, nothing overtly threatening, just personal enough to slip past suspicion, but knowing, like a whisper through a crack in the wall, he de-studied me. Watched my Craigslist post, saw the desperation in my words: urgently need income, open to short-term gigs, will respond fast. He saw the crack and he stepped in. I forwarded the email to the police the next morning. They reopened the case, but with no IP trace, no server logs, no sender metadata. They hit a wall. Meanwhile, I stopped using Craigslist. I deleted every social media account. Even changed my name on food delivery apps. But the worst part wasn't that he was still out there. The worst part was that I'd let him in with one reply, one click, one attempt to survive. And I know what you might be thinking: why tell this story now? Because there's someone out there right now, sitting at their kitchen table, broke, alone, desperate, just like I was. They're about to reply to something that feels like hope. So let this be your warning: the internet doesn't just connect us. Sometimes it selects us. And sometimes what you think is a job is actually a hunt.